Oh.
Hello, and welcome to Therapy of the Absurd episode.
Woo!
Hi.
How is everybody doing?
We are hanging in here. How about you guys?
Doing good. You know, the dog driving me crazy, wanting to go to the
Oh,
bathroom all over the place.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah, I caught her right in the middle of the action. And then
Huh?
she looks back. What? I'm not doing anything, Dad. It's like busted.
I think the puppy training phase has to be the most difficult in owning a dog. Like, I finally managed to get a trainer for Maverick because I've been on a waiting list for months. And, God, I realized my dog's an asshole.
Yeah, mine too.
I'm like, oh God, I'm complaining, and I'm sure children are so much harder.
Ours, we got lucky. Ours isn't that bad.
I don't know if children are harder. I don't think, to be honest with you, like, because there's a common language, and even when children don't yet speak adult language, everyone else is. So they have a sense of, they begin to, all of us were geniuses because you could at least correlate things. You could be like, okay, and even if you didn't have language, you whatever. So I disagree with that. I'm going to speaking for humans everywhere. Training children is
Up
not
until they can talk.
Right.
It is easier to teach a child not to sniff all the strangers' balls.
Okay.
That's hard to get out of the dog. The dog is like, this is how we greet people where I come from. Can you please be tolerant of my culture?
You guys want to know something super embarrassing that just reminded me of? Once, it was a couple of years ago, I took my dog to the park, and this Great Dane approached me, smelled me, and then peed on me. He like literally R. Kelly'd me, and the owner was like, didn't even apologize, didn't even offer to like pay for my pants, like seriously, your dog just peed on me. You're not even apologizing. Like, I wanted to slap the man so bad.
I know you did.
Damn! Wow, the dog should have peed on your pants. What the hell?
Well, he peed on me. I was standing and he just lifted the damn leg.
Wow.
I'm just like, the guy was so casual about it that it seems like his dog has done this to other people before. He's like, oh, it happens.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Ronnie.
Did he actually say that? Did he actually say it happens? Were those like his words?
He just shrugged. He didn't say it happens, but his face, the way he shrugged, just seemed like he's been through it before. Like, I was like, okay.
I think Nick has something to say about that. He said, what she's saying is it was a typical blind date.
No, Nick, I don't like R. Kelly type men. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
No Trump golden showers. No R. Kelly, no. I'm sorry.
You're like, urine belongs in the toilet.
Right. and let me just say this. And again, it was you who said that dogs are easier to train than children. Right there, you've made a case for, as we would say in the world of propaganda, for false analogy.
Plus, never once when I was a young boy growing up did I hump someone's leg. Because that would have been really weird, especially when we get of age. Because you're like 13 or something, 14. It's like, ugh.
That's gross.
I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, accidents do happen, or you can't predict the way dogs will react sometimes. Like, I took Maverick to the dog park like 2-3 weeks ago, and we came across another Australian Shepherd. And when Maverick approached the other dog's owner, that Australian Shepherd peed on his owner right in front of us. Like, it's like, no, this bitch is mine. Don't you dare. He's mine. And literally R. Kelly'd him.
Wow.
It'd be worse if the owner just sat there going,
oh, Lord. Well, see, that's another thing I want to say. I'm not going to shame anybody.
Sorry,
what you do as consenting adults is in the privacy of your home, as long as it's consenting and you're of age. Hey, man, that's none of my business. But, yeah, man.
I mean, whoever's into the whole urine thing, like, how do you propose this to the person you're seeing? Like, hey, I'm going to piss on you. Or, hey, you want to try something new? It's kind of watery and slippery and like, oh my God, I can't believe this conversation went this way.
I can. Our number is 555. No,
yeah, call right now.
No.
Ronnie said, legit father of 3. I'd rather train a dog.
Right.
See?
No, I'm sorry. I disagree. Sorry. I disagree. So, all right. I hear you, Ronnie.
Oh my God. Ed with the Dave Chappelle call back there. And Ronnie too.
I just got off a show where a young woman was talking about like her dog and boo-booing, and like sometimes she just can't get him to do it, and and all that. And so she says she feels, like she should maybe, I don't know, like I was listening, but I was struggling with something else. And she was just like, maybe I should just bring a bag of my own poop. Just so, I don't know. I was like, okay, gut health. Sure. We could talk about it. Okay. But I just think, at its core, dogs, man. I think the dogs are amazing. I just don't want one. I'll say that. I don't
got. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really. I mean, I love my dog. I just don't. I didn't think I'd have to learn to have patience for something else. Is what I'm gonna try to say, right? Like I grew into my kid. I got it all. We're good. And now I got to wipe someone's ass again. Is what I'm trying to say.
Honestly, having a dog has been my birth control. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the Hispanic cliche is mostly true. Like, our desire to have children just kicks in right away. And I'm like, I'm broke. I can't afford children. I'm just gonna get a dog. I'm just gonna kick that nurturing reflex and just dogs. Like, I've had dogs for years just because of it. Because I'm like, I don't want a kid right now, but I have this desire to look after and clean after and give all these toys to something. Okay, I'm getting a puppy because I'm allergic to cats. So it's either cats or dogs, and I went for dogs because I just don't want to go into apoplectic shock.
Epileptic shock? I think it's how you say it.
Anaphylactic or epileptic? Anaphylactic shock or epileptic shock? Like what?
Well, how does I can't
epiphylactic? It's epiphylactic.
Was it epiphylactic?
No, it's super galactic, planetary, intergalactic.
It's
supergalactic, planetary.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's what it is.
Beastie Boys, and we got Mary Poppins.
It's Psycho Alpha Disco Beta. No, it's got because I'm George Clinton and P Funk. Like I'm just it's all of those things. But it is. What is it, Dan? Is it is? I thought it was
anaphylactic.
That's what I. Okay. So y'all made me think I was crazy for nothing. I said anaphylactic. Okay, I got it.
Sorry. My people invented gaslighting. I'm good at it. I do have one problem. This whole week I tried to fuck the system. Now I have an itch. What do I do?
The system bro. You tried to fuck the system and it didn't fuck you back? Is that?
Well, I now I have an itch. What do I do?
You might have the herpes, bro.
Okay.
Okay, can you elaborate? Because when you say you have an itch and you're trying to fuck the system, I'm thinking you went to the corner of Motel 6 and picked up some chick.
No. Not
gonna get Dan kicked out of the house. No, that's not what's going on.
He's like, my wife's watching. Don't even say
it. She doesn't watch. It makes her cringe. So I know she does.
Ronnie,
how did I fuck the system? I don't know. I don't remember. It just itches. Anyway.
Ronnie says that he has 2 boys. They piss all over everything. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you across, Dan. I hear you. And thank you, Lauren. The teacher comes through. But Ronnie, but at least with 2 boys, we've got training pants, we've got diapers, we've got underoos. You've got ways that options. As they're figuring, Dan's got the political clap. I'm all over the place. Ronnie, you've got. That's the political clap. I couldn't help it. Ronnie, you at least you have ways to deal. Like our dog trying to wear diapers in public, like that Great Dane with his owner.
We're buying some diapers actually. We didn't want to, but we're buying some.
I see that I can't be that person. I can't be the person with a dog like diaper. Like unless your dog is in heat, there is no reason your dog should be on diapers or if they're on a wheelchair. Like my dog that had a wheelchair, she was in
no,
diapers.
of course, yeah.
But
if Great Danes are pissing on you, you understand a diaper, a Depends might have stopped that. I'm just saying.
Dogs shouldn't be pissing on people.
No, I know. We're just saying for the dogs we know that don't want to behave, they should wear diapers.
That's my point. There it is.
As long as you don't become one of those people that put their dogs in carriages during walks. I'm like, what?
No, I would never do that. That's weird. Jeez.
No dog.
Then the dog's gonna really piss in your house because it didn't get to walk and get out that energy, you know. Sheesh, that's like asking for it.
So you guys, I know we kind of manage the political talk, but I will say this: I'm excited because Marjorie Taylor Greene, they've at least the Democrats have voted her off of the committees that she's on. I think, I think she's pissing on people in their clothes with what she says. Like that's my non sequitur. That is my move from dogs and Great Danes pissing on poor Stacy to Marjorie Taylor Greene pissing on the world with with her right to free speech. Like I'm just saying. Okay. So we have a little something we want to share. Also I want to so I a little something I want to share. Is it okay to talk about comic strips? Like I had no segue. I have no segue. I'm just
that wasn't the first one.
It's not okay. No. Good. Because here's the thing. I forgot the order. Well, if it's not, okay. All the better. I just couldn't remember what was, and I was like, "What if I'm first?"
I'll do a thing for.
So I'm gonna be quiet because I couldn't remember. Thank you, Dan. I couldn't remember.
I feel like when stuff like this happens, we need to have something playing that typical hold music in the background.
Right.
We're currently experiencing technical difficulties.
Right. And we're not experiencing current technical.
No, we're doing
mental difficulties.
I was going to say, just data difficulties.
Did you guys hear about what happened at the end of SNL when they were waving goodbye? I believe Machine.
Yeah, everybody heard. It's trending.
I didn't. Tell me what happened.
What happened?
They fell off the stage.
Who fell off?
So at the end of SNL, everyone gathers around the
and says goodbye
and says their goodbyes. Well, Machine Gun Kelly went flying during the goodbyes and fell, and they cut it. So you managed to catch.
No, you go. Sorry, I thought it was him and Pete Davidson. I thought they both fell. Like I thought
they both fell.
That's what I was saying.
When it broadcasted live, apparently that as soon as they fell, they cut. So you didn't see what happened after they fell. Like
those guys are best friends too.
Because that was technical difficulties, so they just cut.
Yeah, but they
Pete Davidson.
I wanted to see it. I like Saturday Night Live. Like I'm usually home and I'll just forget to like turn my TV on. I don't know why that is. And then you can't. Can you pick up Saturday Night Live on demand full episodes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's
YouTube.
Some place from the Middle East where you download it.
Oh, jeez.
You can for live broadcast. You can do.
You got to use VPN.
TV.
Hulu, Hulu.
So you can't do Hulu. I have Hulu.
YouTube TV.
Hulu the day after, but live broadcast would be Fubo TV, which is like it's becoming the new live streaming service. So it's like regularly streaming, but like cable. It's a merger.
And it's called FUBU.
Fubo
yeah,
TV.
Really?
Okay,
is it really?
But like Hulu, the day after is fine. Yeah. So Hulu.
I remember the clothing line, Fubo.
It's the for us, by us TV.
That's what I was looking at. Yeah, we all know.
They didn't get sued yet?
The Fubu class, but my mom went to Fubu because I was like, is she saying voodoo? Which is which is another one. But I was like, so you're saying Fubu?
Yeah, you have over hundreds of channels, and you have live broadcasting. You have DVR. No, it's not free. I wish it was free.
Welcome to Sesame Street. Today we talk about Fubu, Hulu, Dudu, Cuckoo.
I think it's like I pay for it, but I don't even know because I actually got it for my family. My family was like, I think Spectrum was trying to charge them like $100 or $200 a month. And then Fubu was like $50. I don't remember how much it is a month, but they have a DVR on top of it. So it's like live TV, and then you can go back like Hulu and check out episodes without commercials if you check it out the next day, or you can watch it live, or you can record it. So it's like basically spectrum in a way, but in and out, or your TV.
I have to start my own Scottish TV service called Fuck You.
Scottish. All right.
You'll watch it and you like it.
Oh, okay. No, our first topic was what? Adulting 101, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Should they be teaching Adulting 101 classes? I'm living proof they should. Meet us tonight, right now.
I think everyone like is proof that they should be teaching.
I'm like, why weren't taxes taught to us when we got out of high school? Because that's exactly when we start paying them. Like, or how to actually cook and season your food. God,
the drive.
I've tasted the worst things when some of my friends and they're like, I learned this off YouTube. Well, you better find a good YouTube channel because this shit sucks.
Yeah. I learned this thing off of YouTube. Where'd you learn it off of? It was called Troll Cooking. Eat it. No. Just anything with that in it. Yeah.
What would you guys prefer to have in your classes?
Well, I mean, they used to have a class up until I think the 70s called financing. And they don't do that anymore in public schools. Most public schools don't do financing anymore. I don't know shit about finance. I don't have any shares of nothing. No, I do. That's like Disney, but my dad controls that shit. So I'm going to lose it eventually. Besides, no one's going to the parks. But yeah.
No, I think there should be mandatory gardening, mandatory freaking driving, mandatory stuff about taxes, anything that has to do with you surviving on your own and being self-sufficient should be taught. It should mandatory.
Like who do you call to get your lights on? Like what do you do? What do you have to have to get lights, gas, and
What do you have to do to make a bank account? What do you have to do to manage the bank account? How do actual proper spending and saving?
Into the weeds, but like, could we be taught that savings, that banking, that interest rates on saving money are extremely low? Like literally last year, you guys, during the whole the civil rights kind of remix that we experienced around George Floyd, there was a large move amongst African Americans. We were all like, well, we should be black banks and black this and da 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 da. But what was interesting was we started getting into the weeds of like, okay, what is the interest on a savings account, this kind of account, if we're gonna do this, because you can bank online. And interestingly enough, not wanting to, we've put up with low all of us, all these years. But it was interesting how I was like, man, you can't get no interest. But it's always been that way. Black banks did not create the 2 or 3% that you can get on a savings account. But the bigger point was, we've never looked at any of this anyway. Like, we didn't know this before our quest to do this, but nobody, they should have, like you're saying, Dan, I don't recall finance classes. I know, like, I grew up, I didn't get to take a home ec class, but there was home economics. Like, there was trade in high schools and trade. And even when I got to LA, like, and I was teaching, there is still trade in a lot of high schools, not a lot, but in high schools here. But so much of that is gone. But to your point of finance, wherever any public school was teaching that, because not necessarily in Alabama or New Orleans, we need to know that. Like, I just need to, like, nowadays, and just for the record, you guys, Capital One, I think, has like, they may have a double-digit % interest savings account. And I don't want to inflate or conflate, but if you do want to start a savings account and you still want to save your money that way, Capital One is the best place to go for a good interest rate on a savings account. Otherwise, you're getting crumbs. There's other things you're getting crumbs on your money. Your money should be working harder.
Capital One. It's crazy. I did realize this. So for years, I've been very interested in actually trying to figure out how, Wall Street, stockbrokers. I was always really curious to find out how it all worked, because it always caught my interest. And everyone always says, invest, get stocks. And I would read about it, or I would read some articles online, and it's very complex and complicated that I wouldn't understand the majority of the terms that were on there. So it would lose me. I'm like, what is this? So at some point I was like, okay, I'm just going to put some money into like Disney and maybe Tesla. And I put that money away because I'm a shopaholic. So if I have it, I will spend it. So this was my thing. It wasn't until what happened last week in Wall Street that I actually understood it, because it took TikTokers to explain the process as a Pokemon analogy. And I'm like, this is how I comparing this to Pokemon cards? And I was like, shit, man, I'm embarrassed, but I'm also so relieved. But no, I wish they taught us this as kids, because reality, inflation happens, and we could have had money on the side. Like, we could have had like rainy day money, or if something happened mechanically to our vehicles, we'd have money where we wouldn't have to worry about that due to inflation. Yeah. But because we don't know, it isn't until later in life that we start doing it, and we're like, holy crap, you know how much money I could have had on the side if I did that before? We don't know.
We don't know.
And it's been mentioned already that like home ec, you mentioned it, Dana, and Ed Namrock's mentioned it, and our home ec actually also taught birth control at the same time.
That's also very important.
Yeah, the way they did it is they did this thing. Have you ever done that thing where you take care of an egg for like a week? They give you an egg. Right. Yeah, they give you an egg instead of the baby thing. They give you an egg, and you're supposed to take care of it and keep it safe. And after taking care of this thing for a week and clothing it and naming it and putting stuff on it, the way they test that you were a good parent is you bring it back to them and they smash it with a hammer. And so we didn't want to have kids for a while because we were freaked out. That's how it went down.
Isn't that like that commercial about your brain on drugs?
I remember that.
Oh, no, my baby's on drugs. Look at them just sitting there frying after you hit them with a hammer.
Oh,
don't do that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I really wish they had an auto shop class in high school. Like, it would have, I still, for the love of God, and I'm in the car business, I still don't know how to check oil. I kind of understand the life of your tire, because if you put a nickel or something.
Yeah, for the tread.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know crap. I know the finance side of it. That's my specialty. But for the love of God, when it actually comes to the vehicle itself, I'm like, oh, the light's not on. I'm okay.
Girl, but who mentioned Google University, YouTube University? I say Google you because that's what you do now. Like, I had to, bless the heart of my PT Cruiser that has gone away, but I had to replace a taillight on it. And I went on YouTube and looked it up and then went back there, popped, I followed all the instructions, I did it. And, that's how I fixed it. Like, but I agree. It would be nice if all of these, and I should look that up. I can't imagine that somebody does not have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to claim the idea if no one has. It should be called Everything They Didn't Teach You. And then just tons of videos for everything they didn't teach you. How to change your oil, how to change a tire.
Hey man, if we want to make
that guy, the like dad classes or something, the dad guy or whatever.
Because some of us, over here, I was a single mom, so mom classes. Shit.
No, yeah.
Well, I know, no, I don't. Yeah, but there is a guy that does he goes everything that your dad was supposed to teach you if your dad wasn't so busy at the racetrack.
That's very funny.
I love reading the comments. They're like, oh, thanks for being the dad. My dad just went to the store and never came back.
Oh, my buddy says that. That's messed up, though.
Lauren, you are right. Lauren, I thought Lauren's comment was great. Some people need to learn hands-on in person, not just watch a video. But let me just say this, Lauren, everybody needs a starting place. If you have no concept, because I'm this way, like, whoever read all the detailed instructions on how to do stuff? Everybody, we bought stuff, and then you read the first line, you dispensed with the instructions, and then you went to put it together. So I agree, Lauren, as a recovering teacher and a recovering educator, more people are tactile than not. More people need to do this. But if you have zero concept, at least YouTube is a start. And for the tactile learner, which so many people are with changing a tire, at least if you see the ideas put together, then you can run out and recreate that. But if you're just standing there looking as you, the tire, the crowbar, and the nickel, like ain't nothing happening. Ain't nothing happening.
And if you don't want to go through all of that, AutoZone can change your taillights and your headlights and your batteries.
Tell it.
Don't be afraid to ask for help if you don't know.
Nick also put that wood shop was a good class too. Hey Nick, do you remember when I used to make my mom mad when waking up in the morning? I'd say, Mom, I'm gonna go to wood shop, and she goes, stop calling sex education and that.
Oh my.
I like wordplay. Even back
like wordplay.
Okay, Woody.
They call him Mr. Wood.
It's the worst name for a woodshop teacher. Hello, I'm Mr. Wood. I know, but you're gonna learn anyway. Don't make fun of the fucking name. Don't look at the peg leg.
Don't make fun of that. I had wood shop and I was horrible. I did, he's like, make a baseball bat. He's like, you made a sharp stick, Mr. Bowman. You can't play baseball with this. I literally almost failed wood shop. That's pretty bad.
You made a sharp stick.
Maybe that's why we don't have it anymore. Thanks, Stefan. Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Yeah. So I told you guys that I finished school at 16. Like I did those. Well, no. It wasn't for a good thing, but I finished school at 16. But I had the option because I was a minor to take trade school, like any class in trade school. Because not only was it a continuation school, it was also a trade school. And my mom was like, "Hey, you know what? You're doing your classes mostly at home. You have time. Why don't you actually take a class?" So I actually took cosmetology in high school, did my hours, and I honestly realized that I'm lazy as hell because I hated it. But I know how to color hair. I know how to do nails and acrylics. I didn't do these. I didn't. But I honestly think it would be a great thing to implement during high school too, like a cosmetology class. Like, who doesn't want to know not how to burn it, like how to dye your own hair, how to do your own nails.
They just they have here again. I applaud LA because even when I was growing up in Alabama, like I went to high school in New Orleans, but I know in when I was in Alabama until 8th grade, some of the high schools did have cosmetology because you heard about it. Here again in California, you have I forget what it's called, the Abram Friedman School, which is all trade, and you have a choice. You can actually take those courses down there in high school, but it is a separate spot. I agree with your point though. I think we need more on-site of schools is needed because here in California, and it's no longer called ROP, it's called something else, but they do have those courses. They do have places where you can do all that. And some schools have it, but it's it's a separate site. But when I was growing up, there were high schools. I remember that in Alabama that it was on site. It was there, but different here.
Yeah, like there's also like business admin classes. Like I took those too. There was even like CNA classes, and I believe some classes could qualify towards your LBN.
Yes.
So, and as minors, again, they're free. So if at any point you guys are considering trying to get your kids out the door or trying to help them prosper, I highly recommend it. Just go to like a common trade school, especially here in LA. We have such a variety. Even forklift classes and stuff are available. I mean, it's always good to know things, even if you don't see your future in any way involving this trade. They're just good things to know. Stuff comes in handy in the future.
And here's what's cool about it. You bring up a good point because I know it's time for our first guest. I just want to end it here, and I don't want to sound so serious. When I was teaching in adult schools in LA, one of the things that we learned was that, like, especially your talk about CNA and LVN, like a lot of those programs are available in what are called these ROP centers, like Abram Friedman downtown. But what sucks is like proprietary schools, and I don't want to jump on DeVry, but any of those schools where you hear about them, and I only mention DeVry because DeVry has kind of gotten more formal and they've kind of cleaned themselves up. But a lot of the smaller proprietary colleges, they charge money, and they're not teaching anything different for those CNA and for those LVN classes for any of that stuff than going right downtown to Abram Friedman's. All I can say is I'm doing a commercial for them, but they're charging you out the yang. They're medical, and people are taking out student loans that they have to pay back. When there are places you can go and get those same courses at absolutely no cost. And so you raise a good thing, a very good point there.
Brittany says I became
a
pharmacy technician through ROP. Sorry, go ahead, Dan. My apologies.
Dan,
I was just gonna say, Stacy, my great grandmother, actually, when she went to school, they had classes in doing your hair and doing your makeup. It was called How to Receive a Gentleman Caller.
Sometimes you go to the moon.
My wife is watching the stupid Bridgerton show, and it's in my head now. And anyway,
is it about prostitutes? I haven't seen.
No.
I mean,
basically, that's how all women were back then. That's what you did. Like all you did was say, "Look at me, I am good, ready for marriage." Oh yes, I will not scandal you in the park.
But that was the game they had to play, man. I mean, you look how the deck was stacked.
Right.
It's a silly show, but I'm gonna do. I like how they.
Survival.
It's a silly show, but I like how they do like pop music in the background with the violins. It's just silly, like because they're doing like I heard Billie Eilish. You go doing that. They go. They do it. My wife's like they do it all the time.
That's not enough.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, the rest of the show needs to catch up with that.
How did I get there?
Now,
all right.
After we've heard Dan speak, I would like to say that. One, I'm completely disgusted. Second, we have another guest coming up. So,
yes,
I am so happy to bring up our first guest.
Do you know who our first guest is?
Did we change the schedule? Okay.
Mm-hmm. You gotta read the private chat, girl. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Never mind. Then somebody else is gonna bring up our first guest.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. So we have a producer and comedian who produces a show at Flappers called Hot Medusa, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right, Dana?
Yes, the Hot Medusa comedy show. I did it 2 weeks ago. We love her. She is amazing. We can say fucking amazing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And, and in addition to the Hot Medusa, in addition to the Hot Medusa, she also hosts a couple of mics at Flappers. I've jumped on her open mics, and so she is definitely the hostess with the mostest and an amazing comedian herself because I've been on shows with her as well.
All right. Swan Weaver. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, good to see you guys. All those nice intros. I'm like, oh my goodness, gotta live up to that. Yeah.
Should we put one bad one in there? She also sacrifices people in Central Park on the full moon. Like
perfect.
Oh my.
That's a lot of plane tickets because you live near us anyway. So
why don't we just throw in? She loves Bridgerton. So
there you go. Dan.
What did you think when you got to the part where it's like 20 minutes of softcore? Was that interesting for you too?
Yes, it's juicy and delicious. There's gorgeous people on there. Come on.
Hey, people watch it for that, all right?
That is what people watch it for.
Damn it.
Learning about from Game of Thrones. Yes.
The beautiful people are having sex. It's very nice.
We're humans, Dan. We're humans.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a little one-sided because, anyways, we're not going to talk about the scenes. It's like they only care about her. No, it's funny. I don't want to go into detail. Why don't you watch the show?
Welcome to the podcast. We're happy to have you on with us.
Yeah.
What drew you to stand-up comedy? I'm really curious. I'm always curious with other comedians.
Right into the serious questions. I like it. You know what? I think it was just a way to really express myself. And also, I always loved comedy. So it was nice to... you have the power when you have the mic,
Oh, yes.
You're not sharing the stage with other people doing improv, trying to figure out how to, share the stage. It's you. You get your point of view. You get to say it's your show. So that's why it drew me.
Oh, okay.
The power.
Yeah.
Here it is, though. Yeah, and it's so good to see you guys because, I just saw Danny the other night, and Steven and Dan. We've been on shows together too, so that's all.
Oh yeah, Tao comedy shows, Flappers open mics, all the fun stuff. All the fun stuff.
And Stacy, hi.
You can't do a gamer hi really well. Like hi.
Hi.
Where do you think I learned that? It's from the incredible Alaska Thunderfuck. Hi.
Oh, nice. Yes, Alaska.
Oh my god. That's a reference I actually don't get. Now I'm not hit with it.
What do you watch? Are you watching anything interesting in the quarantine, Suwan?
Well, of course I'm going to say Bridgerton.
Ah, okay. Oh,
I think we kind of covered it. It was kind of interesting.
I know. It's fine. I binge watched it. That's how you watch it. You just go right through it. And it's great. It's fine. I started watching Flack. You know that? It's also on Amazon. So it's based out of Scotland, but it has Anna Paquin. She's such a good actress.
Oh yeah, I love her in True Blood and the X-Men movies.
Right. It's a little dark though, so I'm like, all right, let's see. But you know what I just saw? I just saw for the first time is I saw Indiana Jones, the one with Actually, I've never seen any of the Indiana Jones.
Ooh, Temple of Doom when you get a chance.
Oh, okay, I will. But I just saw which one? I don't know.
Was it the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
No,
Shia LaBeouf?
No, well, this was the one with the James Bond guy.
Oh, Sean Connery. So you saw The Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Oh, The Last Crusade. Yes.
The
River Phoenix. Yeah. Isn't it weird that if you think about it, River Phoenix played the young Indiana Jones, but Indiana Jones plays an age River Phoenix never got to.
Okay. Look at you waxing philosophy here.
That's sad. That's true.
Oh man, that's one of the better ones. That's one of the better ones. If you don't watch the last one with Shia LaBeouf. That one's horrible.
I believe it.
Hot garbage.
Why is he so terrible?
Sorry. Apparently he makes it really good, and then every once in a while there's something, blah blah, like I don't know, the 4chan guys that do all the goofy stuff. He did that one thing with the flag in the middle of the field or something, and he put up a flag saying you'll never be able to take this down, you won't be able to find it, and the 4chan guys used the star above it to figure out where it was. And then they went and replaced it with a troll flag, and it's like, yeah, it was just chaos, but it was pretty funny.
So who was one of the first comics that you ever saw, or a comic you feel is like an influence on your style?
Okay, so I watched lots of I Love Lucy when I was a kid, in black and white, right? Like that was the best. Like, so first of all, she's so goofy and there's a lot of slapstick, but she's also so smart, right? Like who she really was the smartest woman, like a producer, and did multicam for the first time. And like, this is like a brilliant lady. But made herself into such a goof, like that one where she's like smoking a cigarette, her nose catches on fire. I mean, there's a million goofy ones. Vita Vita Vegemin.
The chocolate one, man, when she just can't keep up with the chocolate.
That's my avatar at work for a reason.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about the fact that they're making a movie based off her life?
Well, I'm happy who's playing Ricky Ricardo. It's Javier Bardem, I believe it is.
Yep.
I just don't, unless I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I like Nicole Kidman. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But I think who was going to play her previously,
it's supposed to be Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett, I think would have been a way better Lucy.
We're all mad about it. We're all mad about it.
No, yeah,
we're all mad about it. I'm a huge Kate Blanchett
she's
fan. I have a lot of respect for Nicole Kidman. Like one of my favorite movies, honestly, even though I haven't seen it in forever, is The Hours. I think The Hours is so beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Very done. And she does her thing in The Hours, like she really does. Like, man. But for the role of, Lucille Ball, come on, like you gotta. I think Cate Blanchett would have been fantastic, and I'm truly a fan. People may feel some kind of way because of the Judy Garland, but I think Renee Zellweger would have been.
Yeah, she could have done it too. Somebody who's quirky, silly,
they've got the chops,
funny, playful.
That we know of.
Yeah.
I'm still bummed out that they passed on Bobby Lee for Ricky Ricardo.
Bobby Lee.
What the hell?
That's serious.
What?
Way too serious. No.
I was like, at first I was like, what? I'm happy homie's getting work, but what?
Yeah, that was so random.
I mean, I want him to have work, but that's just crazy.
Right.
I had you going for a minute. You guys are like, what did I miss? Let me go online real quick.
The shit out of me.
No, we were like, are you serious? Like,
you scared me.
Now, we have talked about actors that have gone above expectations. I would have given the man a chance.
And here's the thing, and don't laugh. Like, here's the thing. And Dana is going, so who the fuck is Bobby Lee? Like, I literally was like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
I was like,
he was on Mad TV.
Let me Google it. I didn't even get the joke. Like, it felt kind of random, but I was just kind of like, well, let me give,
he's in that new Pauly Shore movie on Netflix with our me and Stacey's friend Leslie Wolf.
Let's start with he's a little chubby Korean guy. So
Google it. Once I Googled him, the image spoke 3,000 words. Then I knew.
You're like,
was
Dan,
he shirtless?
I was like, what happened?
With his hand on his nipple? Like, what did you find? I'm so afraid to Google search Bobby Lee as of lately.
No, he's awesome. He has an amazing
he's
podcast
hilarious, but
called Tiger Belly, and I love Tiger Belly. I watch Tiger Belly religiously. It's also one of the highest rated podcasts on YouTube, actually.
He is hilarious.
He looks funny though. Like, I mean, here's the thing. I believe I would check him out because he looks funny. Just, obviously not Ricky Ricardo, but
it's crazy. You know what? His personality in like real life too is insane. Like,
he looks that way.
He is very well. You know what? A lot of people, what they do is they put a persona on stage. I'm guilty of it too, where I'm myself, but I'm also a very dramatic version of myself on stage. So when I'm backstage and I'm no longer on there, I'm like chill. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. It's awesome. No, Bobby Lee is like, woo! Like, I'm like, what are you on? Can I have some?
He's sober too.
Yeah, he had people that had to defend him because he was doing really crazy. I'll just say it this way without getting too explicit, but naked stuff that he should not be doing in like producers or executives' office. Let's just say that, okay?
This is Bobby Lee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
when he was young. He doesn't do it now like that.
Okay.
I mean, he still messes around, but not like that.
He kind of gets naked, like
a lot. He still does.
Almost. I mean, it's pretty naked. Like, you see kind of everything.
Yeah. He's not.
So there's this beautiful. Well, there's a beautiful thing he did on Mad TV, Dana. If you don't remember his stuff, you got to look up him pretending he's at the car show with his car, trying to get the women to come over to him.
Yeah,
one
that's
of
the best. Like, it's almost it's so good.
He's like,
but then also his other character, which I can't imitate because it's 2021.
So he's
a
Mad TV guy. He's a Mad TV guy.
Yeah, he's a he did stand up before that. He got his big break. I only know this because I'm a really huge fan and watch all this stuff. But he got his big break from Pauly Shore and the mom who owned Mitzi Shore. He was a doorman. I think it was in La Jolla at the Comedy Store. He was a doorman, and they liked his look. And I'm assuming maybe at that time there wasn't enough Asian comics, is my best guess. And they liked his look, and he was a loyal worker and gave him a chance. I think his first tour ever, and I don't think he'd been doing stand-up that long, was with Pauly Shore.
Wow. By the way, you say something very powerful. There may not be enough Asian comics now, like you said. Like 40
years, there you go.
40 years later,
I like Steve Byrne.
He's really good.
Yeah, Steve Byrne.
And Dana goes to Google again, like, who is Steve Byrne?
Okay. Well, you know what?
I'm gonna do that all day. I'm gonna just.
I think especially if you're Asian, then you kind of are, you lean in a little bit more to like Asian comics, like in me being half, and you too, Stephen, right?
Oh
like,
yeah, because
so,
when we were young, they didn't have any really, like at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Know?
So then you kind of know, like you're like, oh yeah, like I know too. I feel like I know too much about Bobby Lee.
Yeah, actually, back in the day when they needed an Asian comic, they just had Jim Belushi play them.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God.
Or that
guy.
And before that, it was just Marlon Brando.
Yeah, or who was the gentleman in Breakfast at Tiffany? Breakfast at Tiffany's too.
Mickey
They had
Rooney.
that one.
Mickey Rooney.
Yeah, like,
I remember growing up. My
Mickey Rooney. Offensive.
I'm not kidding about Marlon Brando. He actually played a Japanese guy, like in some movies, back in the day, like with his eyes taped back, and
I believe it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I believe that 100%. They had Native Americans that were white dudes painted dark. Like,
yeah.
it's like that's not Native American guy. What?
Rape his co-star in one of his films?
Who's this?
No, you just put it down.
Marlon Brando.
Oh, I thought you said Charlie Sheen. I was like,
Sheen.
Possibly.
Wait, what about Charlie Brando?
Charlie Brando, where are we going?
Don't talk shit about Charlie Brando.
But you know
Love
what?
Charlie Brando.
I want the self-esteem of Bobby Lee. Like I
to do what he's doing. Yeah,
the man is naked all the time and doesn't care about his gut. I want to be that person. I still request to turn the lights off. Okay, I want to be that confident.
I don't know
I
that
he be Eric Andre. No, I don't want to be him.
Confidence. I think he just does it. I don't know if it actually has to do with confidence, though.
Yeah.
That's confidence. I mean, come on. When you have low self-esteem, you're just like, oh, let me cover up, or you're worried about every little thing. Bobby Lee is already like, he's like Jason Mewes in fucking Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, like that whole scene where wild horses. He does not care. He is that person. I want that. Like, I need that in my life.
It's funny you mentioned that. I just mentioned I would like to have the confidence of Eric Andre, who ended his comedy special with doing exactly that.
It's you just have to admit to yourself that you're inadequate in every way and you don't care, and then you can do it. Because if you really care too much about what people think and you plan on doing that, your world is going to be crushed, right? Because the thing that people don't realize is nobody's going to live up to your expectations. I'm sorry, that's just reality. Right? Nobody.
You don't think I know that? I know that.
No, I know. I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
That brings us to another question, Suwan.
Oh, yes.
As you started stand-up comedy, did you have those moments of reality coming through and going, oh, sometimes this doesn't go well, and I'm going to have to keep going?
Oh, God. Of course. I mean, there's so many, what they say that like, you're not really doing it until you bomb, right? Like you have to really bomb. And no, I have had some good ones. Like I had a show, I did 20 minutes for these nurse practitioners, and it was just a couple other comics. It was very, tight. And they first of all, the setup was weird. We were in the middle of a room. It was like this lit room. They're eating dinner. Did they even care about us being there? But I would say they hated me, but that would be, I don't know, self-confidence. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't about me, but it was a terrible set. And I got paid. Sometimes you just have to eat it and then just keep going, not give up on yourself, right?
You're just kind of tempted of ending your set with, glad you didn't laugh, still got your money.
Yeah, thanks for the wine. What are you gonna do? I mean, it just sometimes it's not right. Like even if I think like I do well most of the time, and I like I like my sets, I love doing it, and it's fun, and then every now and then it's like, oh, I don't know what happened. That was rough.
We'll address this to everybody in the room, but we'll have Suwan answer first. If there was anything you could change in stand-up /comedy in 2021, what would it be?
Well, this is a good question. Okay, so we all know about cancel culture. As a comic, we're not fans, right? I mean, I'm not a fan of cancel culture. I'm not a fan of like everything being so politically correct. However, I don't think we should. I think if a guy is a rapist, maybe you don't want to have him on your show. I don't know, but I think that there's like a line, right? And so I would like to not have things be so harsh about, it's like, because like you're not even having fun. Like you can't, what are you going to be able to even say? Like, what are you going to talk about? Like, I don't know. It seems a little too rigid. Like it went too far.
Yeah, I get you.
That's my.
Yeah, I don't like the political. I don't like it either. When you start a show with, "Hey, I haven't seen such an ugly audience," and they're dicks to you for the next 5 minutes. It's not nice.
Well, yeah, you wonder why. I mean, come on.
I do enjoy when comics attack the audience because their jokes didn't land. It's the most hilarious thing that I see. It's like you see their downfall play out on stage, and you're like, "No, stop!" But then they keep going, and then they're like, "You just don't know comedy. This is hilarious." And I'm like, keep going.
Come back with that $1 million check. It's that funny. Just come back with that, and we'll talk.
Right.
By the way, if you're ever going to go to one of my shows, that doesn't actually happen.
No, yeah, that's not. We're all, anybody who's taken any kind of classes in comedy or any kind of guidance knows you don't want to just pick apart your audience. Like you want them to like you first before you start. Start picking on people.
You're like,
do any at all.
A material. Why aren't you guys laughing? Come on.
I think the problem is you.
You guys are so unattractive. You don't get this.
What do you think, Dana?
Like I'm like in terms of like, can you guys hear me? Mm-hmm. We're still like I apologize, I drifted away, but I'm still listening to us talk about cancel culture and yeah, like so, what we didn't like about comedy last year. Like, let me just say this: I don't have any complaints, honestly, because as someone who, like I always tell this kind of this story about coming back to comedy after like not taking myself seriously as one and dropping back in to stay in October of 2019. And then I look up in February and we've got this other situation. So we're not able to publicly mic. But what Zoom has done is it's been, parents complain about Zoom school. But for those of us who are, really, really shaping and refining, we've been in comic Zoom school. And I can't, and if I can't complain about the opportunities that comedy Zoom school has presented especially for me personally, over the last, whatever. Now we're we're in month 11 of the bullshit, and I say this, definitely, I've been in what America calls a minority group all my life. And as not as just as a Black person, but as a woman, as any, number of things. I think that cancel culture behind, not being PC, but I think that we can all have a greater appreciation for a new normal around, certain things that were okay to say, but are not okay to say. Obviously there's still going to be, and I can only speak for me, there's still going to be a good number of folks who use the N-word, but I think that, and certainly comics use it and to comic effect. And I don't know that comics are being canceled for using it in comedy, but that we have a heightened awareness around it, for any type of slur. Like I'm talking about me because I've been Black all my life, but Suwan, I know Stefan, I know Stacey, I know Dan, we love you.
Hey, none of ours hurt us. Call me a honky cracker, Whitey. I don't give a
right.
fuck. I still have all the land.
Right. But that's my point. That's my point. And that's my point. Last night, and Thenya rather talked about like being on like slave plantations and da da da. We were like, well, if you're from the South, all of it, a good number of it has blood on the grass.
Yeah.
But in that regard, I don't want to get too far because I do understand your point, Swan. But to the original question, I just can't complain about 2021 from a comedy standpoint. But am I raring to get onto a stage and get onto a mic and get on with it? Of course. But thank God for Zoom Comedy School. I think I'm going to make a T-shirt that I graduated from Zoom Comedy School. Like that's what I'm gonna make a T-shirt, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Is there any addition or anything you would want to improve to make the experience better or change
from 2021 about comedy?
Just in general, yeah.
Oh, like fuck COVID. Yeah, I mean y'all know the deal. Like, if we could just like the whole reason that this motherfucker is shut down, could we turn back the hands of time on that shit? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, could we turn it all the way back to the Obama administration when people cared about the possibility of a global pandemic and were willing to stop it and had a commission that would see to it? You know what I'm saying? So,
no, that's one of those things, realizing that so many things are shut down and how people are dealing with it, and then you have all these Californians moving to Texas because their stuff is so loose. And then you have the goat getting coronavirus, right? Poor Chappelle, man, that's brutal.
Wait, go back?
Oh no! A lot of the comedians moved to Texas. I'm not saying he moved to Texas. That's not my statement. Okay. But they were doing a lot of shows. Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, Donnell Rawlings, a lot of the amazing comedians that were doing shows out there. And I guess at least from what the podcast I was watching, that they had guests who were hanging out with Chappelle. They were saying that one of the guests brought their guest, and that guest is the one that had the coronavirus, and that's how Dave got it. Because you can't control everybody.
I'm under a rock. Dave Chappelle's that coronavirus?
Yes.
How did I miss that? Like I was, and here's the thing, I was just going to tell you guys.
You weren't at that show.
Huh?
No, it's a good thing. No, none of us were at that show.
The next show is totally different.
I was just gonna say, our girl Ricky got another, like the Emmy.
Oh, I saw that. Congratulations,
right. So our girl Ricky, one of our first, not first guests, but you know what I'm saying. But like, I didn't know Dave had. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, Dave got it. I think Donnell maybe. I'm 50-50 on that one. I'm not 100%. I think he might have though.
She talked about he loved Donnell that night.
But Joe didn't get it. Joe Rogan didn't get it.
Look at that.
Dude is healthy as a horse. So I'm not shocked.
Prejudice and racism in the corona. I'm just teasing.
Corona is a racist bastard.
Right?
Well, it could also be that he worked like crazy.
No,
I mean, he was probably not exposed to the person because come on, there's a pretty good likelihood that maybe Chappelle was doing a smoke sesh with everyone, and then somebody.
It could have been a joint pass. That's possible. It's possible.
I mean, it's too though, right? Like he imbibes.
But but when people are like the guy that goes to his own car and uses his own pot because that's yours, and I don't want to mix right now. I'm doing a thing, a cleanse.
But Ian, the thing is that we have this string of wanting to be respectful and polite to people, right? So it's really hard for us as human beings, even with coronavirus. I mean, we'll catch ourselves and okay, my bad. No, we can't do that. But sometimes you're in the heat of the moment and someone's passing a joint and these are all your deep friends. You guys are all in deep. You may not turn that joint down. I'm just saying.
It's not even with a group of friends. People will go ahead and they don't know person across from them and they'll still take a toke from that blunt. I mean, that's...
Oh, no. Yeah. You don't want to be doing that these days.
Well,
however, I used to always check for mouth sores. You always look for mouth sores.
What happened just now? I felt like
we got a flashlight. Open.
Hey, you want to share this with me? Here, let me see your mouth. No, you look cool. Thanks.
Okay.
No, but in reality, the thing's airborne. Just being within close proximity, you don't have to touch or anything. Just being within that close proximity, you get it. I mean, that's how I got it.
Oh, you had it? Oh my God, were you sick? Oh no.
I was dying. The only good thing that happened over COVID is I lost 10 pounds of the stupid quarantine weight I gained. I'm like, do I want COVID again to lose the last 10?
You're like, this muffin is gone.
You're saying you might recommend it to a friend.
COVID was the most horrible thing I went through. Like, there were days where my eyes hurt so bad I couldn't open them. I had zero energy. I couldn't even light up, I couldn't even like heat up a can of soup. It was horrible. The only good thing that came out of COVID is I fucking lost weight. Would I do it again? No, I would go freaking ingest a worm and just have that shit be inside of me, then get COVID again.
Well, we do want to say that we hope that anybody who has it, and we'll address this also towards Dave Chappelle and anybody else that was around that and his family, that they have a speedy recovery and get healthy again, and
Right.
Whew.
I'm glad you said that. I thought you were going to say I suggest you stop having it, and that's not.
No, I don't wish anybody bad, man. Even my enemies, I don't wish any of that on anybody.
It's so
That's
crazy
horrible.
though how it is. It's not only a roller coaster. You don't know exactly what kind of symptoms are gonna hit you, because some days you'll be good and then some days it's the worst. But my grandmother is 69, 0 symptoms. She was asymptomatic,
Wow.
but myself, my aunt who is only in her late 30s, my uncle who's in his late 30s, we got hit really hard, and you guys know what happened with my grandfather. But
Condolences, my deepest condolences.
Wow,
but yeah, no, I mean, my grandmother, nope, nothing. The only thing she got was just a very short temporary time of loss of taste. That's it.
And she has very strong genetics. Yes.
You know what? I am jealous she lost her sense of taste, because I would have been so freaking skinny by now had I lost my sense of taste. The only reason I eat is because I like flavor. Come on, I'm Hispanic. Like seasoning, flavor. Why do you think most white girls are skinny? It's because they don't know how to season their food.
Ah, yes.
Did you think she lost her sense of taste because she started watching OAN or something?
Oh, jeez.
Wait, what?
She's like, I'm lost. What?
Sometimes that's the reaction that I like too.
So we don't get too sidetracked. Tell us about Hot Medusa.
Yeah, Hot Medusa. Oh, thanks. And yeah, Dana's been on the show. So that was so good. It was it's been super fun. It's an all-female monthly show, and I produce it through Flappers. And I like to have a lot of women of color, especially Black women, headline. And, it doesn't have to be, but I prefer that. And so I look for women that are headliners that are Black women, especially, because why not? I mean, this is the time to promote and to let's do something, that is positive and good in the world. And then, yeah, I'm also cool with having other women headliners. That's fun.
Yeah. Diversity in comedy is a beautiful thing. Diversity all across entertainment.
Right.
I have a question though. I'm curious, how did you come up with the title Hot Medusa? Because obviously we all know through Greek mythology who Medusa was. And so when I started seeing about your shows, I was actually coveting being on your show long before it was my time, but I was totally like so-and-so's on Hot Medusa this month, so-and-so's on Hot Medusa next month. I want to be on Hot Medusa, but and then when I got your email, I was so touched. I was so excited. But how did you come up with the name?
Well, it started because we were going to open mic. So I right now I produce it by myself, but I used to produce it with Mary Bouquet. And then even before that, I started with 2 other gals, it was 4 of us. And we all went to the same open mic. There were just so many, those toxic dudes. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? It was so toxic. And it was turn these fuckers to stone. You know what I mean? We just needed to have a little extra power on these guys. And it was just, I don't know. We just came up with it because we wanted to do something fun. And then Hot Medusa sounds cool to me.
So you could that sounds like a badass t-shirt too.
Right? Yeah.
Turn dudes to stone, and we are waiting on merch. I did Hot Medusa.
I'd buy one.
Yeah.
And you've got a fantastic lineup coming in February. Jackie Fabulous is.
Yes, tell us about that.
Totally my God, so good, right? Jackie Fabulous is the headliner. She's from AGT. She's just fantastic. She's really good. There's a lot of other really good comics who in my brain, like she's like the one person, Casey Conway she's from back east. She's a clean comic, a lesbian. She's awesome. Byronique Barbie. She's really cool too. I was on a show with her too. She's great. Okay, I don't have it in front of me. So
all right, so I'm gonna tell you, like, so you've got Jackie Fabulous headlining. There's you, Keisha Norton, who we've had on the broadcast, Kim Clevenger, who we've had on the broadcast. Mary Bakay is hosting, who also has her own show that she just launched as well. Joanne Barron, Casey Conley, who you mentioned, and Caroline Hawthorne and Byronique Barbie. You've got this incredible lineup.
And when is that show, Dana?
You tell them because
February 18th.
February 18th. Okay.
Joanne Barron, I actually met her at the Comedy Store. She was the principal in This Is 40. She's an actress. She's a comedian. She's been off, I don't know about on Broadway, maybe off Broadway. Anyway, she's hilarious.
Yeah.
And also she's an older lady. So I'm really happy to have her on too. She's great. Like hilarious. So funny. Yeah. And, sometimes Comedy Stores can be rough, right? Like if you go to Potluck or something like that and you're like waiting around. I mean, they've never picked me. I don't know how many times I've gone and
Whitney Cummings tells some really crazy stories about doing stand-up there. Like just a lot of chauvinistic guys and really sexist. And
I'm not one of the guys. Like that's not my personality is to be like one of the dudes. Like, me neither. I believe you.
Oh, fuck them. They start wars. I hang out on my own.
When we just had that 2021 conversation, I have to say this. Say this. As someone who's, loved comedy forever, tried it, didn't do it, came back. I feel like because of Trailblazers and women like you, and even though I've never obviously met Whitney Cummings, but all of the experiences that you guys have had brought us to the place we are now. Mm-hmm. And so like when I'm in, like you just got on Clubhouse too. Like, so when I'm in Clubhouse rooms and people start talking about how hard it is for women in comedy, I'm not saying that it's not, but what I know for sure is that there are too many safe spaces that women can now find. And I don't know what to compare it to because I don't have another experience on this current journey. I started out doing mics at Dow. And then from the Dow mic, I learned about the women's Flappers mic. And even though like somebody, I don't know if you heard about it, but they've ruined the Flappers mic and the women's Flappers mic is gone. But wow. Like this jerk wanted to be there and he was told by the host, our dear friend Anna Michelle, that he was not allowed, and he wrote back and told the club that he thought they were sexist. So they've ended that night. Now, what they created in its place, which I went to today, was they've created a women's joke workshop that's 2 hours long. That's 1 to 3. But what I'm saying is, I'm willing to bet money, Suwan, that back in those Laugh Factory days, that even, and we're talking about like in this millennium. I think it's interesting when we talk about women in comedy. We're not talking about 40 years ago. We're still talking about 2000. We're still talking about in a new fucking millennium that women are going to try to do comedy. When I hear Lisa Sunset stories talking about 1996 and 97, when we're thinking, at least from someone who was nowhere near the dream at that moment, I'm thinking these are modern fucking times. Like how is this possible? But I say all that to say that, off of the labor, the sweat, the blood, the tears of you guys' experience, we now are in this second decade of the 2000s, and this beautiful thing I think is happening. And so when I'm talking about comedy, I'm talking about, girl, y'all better get in here. Like, what are you saying right now? There's space, there's room. And if there isn't a mic, because of Zoom school, I'll create a mic. Do you know what I mean?
That's crazy. Somebody got the mic canceled.
I'm so grateful for your work. Even though, how long has the Hot Medusa show existed? Wow.
Not that long. I mean, it's been about 2 years.
So it's a 2-year-old show, but that is. And how long have you been a comic, Suwan?
Well, I started in 2009, but I took a big break and then came back to it. So I don't know, like I kind of say 5 years, but I'm not exactly.
But let's just include everything. But I guess all I'm trying to say is point out is that for your decade or more, this is the fruit of that labor for everybody's experience. Lisa Sunstead, on the other hand, has, she's been steady since 96. And on the backs of that labor, Bobby, we love Bobby Oliver. On the backs of that labor, we have the moment that we're living in now. So I feel like, thank goodness for where we are today. And again, I just think that, the show was only 2 years old, but there's a song, there was an R&B song, like maybe in the 70s, and it was called An Overnight Sensation, but the lyric was, but it's been 10 years in the making. Like, I don't know if anybody knows that song, but that's my point. Right. I know, right? I'm a little, all of these things are decades in the making before they happen. And so, we wouldn't have it without your experience.
Is there a way to sign a petition to get them to open up another all women's mic or whatever?
It becomes a lawsuit liability.
Right. It actually, unfortunately, a lawsuit.
It takes one entitled person to run it.
It just boggles my mind that somebody would try to claim that shit with how many male things that there are. That how could, like, if I was the club, I would have backed it off.
Well, I do have a question for the crowd. Would there be anything negative if there was a guy that did a men's only mic?
No, I mean, the problem is it's intended to be a safe
so we could talk about thoughts and wieners.
But it's intended to be a safe space for women, because in reality, when we go to mics, all you hear are dick jokes, or women are bitches, or there's a lot of hostility towards women. Or if women go on stage and they want to talk about ovulating, periods, sexual discharge, men are cringing, right? So this is an opportunity.
Wait, sexual discharge, is that a way that you leave the military, or
how
is that?
Totally. I mean, you know what I mean. Anyway,
no, I know.
The question that the men only mics did have a name, and do you know what they were called? Open mics.
That's
before my open mic time, because I haven't been in an open mic like that yet, but I think it's because I started during the Corona time, so I'm on Zoom mics.
Right.
Guys, I'm not going to do that open mic on Zoom. Zoom is for the quiz, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
People are very.
Hey, can I borrow $1?
Honestly, I enjoyed them, and I'm really bummed out about it, because when I would go to these mics in person, it was nice not to be feel uncomfortable by a guy approaching you, trying to initiate conversation. Like, okay, you're hitting on me. I politely try to tell you to go away, and you're still not getting the attention. And it was a common instance every time I go to mics, especially going to mics late at night. People have been drinking. So it's nice to have a safe haven. If you identify as a woman, perfect. Come on over. The only thing is, just be respectful and mindful that this is our place, because other people make us uncomfortable at other places. Like, I'm bummed, but I understand legal technicality over it, but it just takes one entitled douchebag to ruin everything.
Wow. Yeah, that upsets me. Sorry, go ahead, Dana.
You're like, people, men, those who are that way, except you, Dan and Stephen, y'all want to police
sometimes. That's my wife.
Right.
I can be a dick. I'm sorry. I drink sometimes.
They want to police the safe space, but where were you to help keep us safe? You know what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden you think that it's not fair for us to have a safe space, but which of you ever did anything for us to feel safe in this previous iteration for that space? Unfortunately, y'all know I've been Black all my life. I've been fighting a long time. So I have all the arguments, at the top of mind. Because the same thing has always been said about Black people. Well, what if white people wanted a month? I was like, you do. You have the other fucking 11. Like, what are you saying right now?
How many hundreds of years? How many hundreds of years?
How many? When the Wiz was coming on TV about 3 years ago, someone actually put on Twitter, like, what if we wanted to make a white version of the Wiz?
Oh my God.
Right. You made one with
exactly. Exactly.
Oh, but there is a comedian that, dude, what is it? Kurt Braunohliger or something? Because he grew up in the Midwest in an all white town, and they want to do the Wiz, and they only had white people to do it. So they still wanted to do it. So they did an all white Wiz just because they didn't have any Black people in their school to do it.
Oh my God.
As long as their heart's in the right place.
Like, their heart wasn't in the wrong place. If it's just because of that, it's like, we can't get anybody.
That's what I want to I need to know. Who was Eveline? That's what I need to know.
I'm ashamed, and it disgusts me that somebody would go and destroy a safe place for people to go to express themselves. It's like, if you don't like it, don't go.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, you know what's crazy?
True. Wait, what did you say, Sawan? It's great. What?
Well, I mean, like, it's like he's really taking that in. Like, you know, yeah, it's true, and it's just true because going to open mics, it's exactly what Stacy said. Like, where I've been on plenty of mics where I was the only woman, and then a guy would stand up there and say like how he hates all these women's voices, like all these women are assholes, and like all, like, and then I'm going up, and I'm like, okay. You know, right, you know, or be it a mic where a guy would just like be so perpetual on this like sexual energy stuff, and then just I'm the only woman there staring at me, like, and it's just so
uncomfortable.
So it doesn't make you want to go up and go, sounds like someone hasn't been laid in years.
Forever.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, the men
you don't
open mics are like, it's like they haven't eaten days. They're just determined and eager, and they're like staring at you directly, like, I'm trying to make eye contact. Look in my eyes. Look in my eyes.
That's where it's like, you got, it gets me thinking, are they doing this? I think there's intention to this, right? Because why go to a mic just to say, I mean, I get certain jokes. Okay, if you got 2 jokes about your wiener, whatever, dude. They're probably not funny anyway, but whatever. But if you got a whole set, like a whole, 5 or 10 minutes on just stuff about, I mean, come on, dude. Really?
I personally think it's more of an attempt to, it's not an equality thing. It's, if you don't let me in, I'm going to get a lawyer and I'm going to use this to my advantage. Because that's what it's meant to be. Again, it's meant to be a safe space.
No,
you have other mics available to you through that same venue, and you're making a big deal out of this one that happens once a week. You're doing it as an attempt to, threaten a lawsuit so you can get an easy paycheck. That's the way that I see it.
And I'm serious. If there's a petition or there's a way to have them even fight to get that back, or a way to move it somewhere else, and anybody needs help setting that up, let me know, because I would love to be a part of that. It's not a petition
thing. It becomes, again, like you become susceptible for a lawsuit, and it's already difficult enough. And I love Flappers. Flappers is like home. It was always a stage that I loved performing at. They're already going through enough struggles as it is now,
financially,
and it's not worth going through another potential one just because someone's being an asshole.
Maybe we might just have to create a safe space Zoom open mic for all females, and no guys allowed.
I will just run it and giggle in the back.
I was saying, but Bobby does that. But Bobby Oliver does that. I think we're so grateful for Bobby. I haven't. My schedule has been crazy, but Bobby does that, and she always says that she knows that what she's doing is not, is not above the law. But she's going to do it as long as she can, and
people should be fine with that. I don't understand. That weirds me out that there's a guy, and not to drag this on any longer, but that weirds me out that there's a guy who's offended that there's an all ladies thing. Like there's you had cigar clubs and golf. You had cigar clubs and golf places that didn't allow women for how many decades, and you're mad that there's a safe space for nice ladies to do comedy stuff. Like, are you like, really?
It's not an offense, because there are multiple women's open mics available online. He's not going towards that. He's going to the one that has a big name behind it that he potentially can sue for.
Right.
He's going towards the one that can give him an easy paycheck. He's not going after if you guys were to do your own open mics that were women only, the reality is he's not going to go ahead and cause a nuisance over it. Yeah. He's going to go to the one that's a big company that he can say, well, if you don't do it, I'm going to sue you.
That's so crazy.
We should test this with a furries only mic and see how it goes.
Furries only, oh Lord.
And then again, this is all allegedly. I don't know what's going on.
No,
that's
don't
sue me.
I'm just saying
out of the furry. What?
Yeah, I'm just saying that's upsetting. Wow. Shame on that individual for putting what is it? Messing without. I'm trying to remember how the hell I said it last time. Damn it.
You didn't get invited to the party because you suck. Now deal with it.
Well, there's that, and why would you want to yuck up someone's yum? Right? Why would you want to yuck up someone's yum? That's just I don't understand that.
That sounds really, really erotic sometimes.
Holy Lord,
sounds
get your mind up.
disgusting. I've never heard that before. What does that mean?
They say that at like Landmark, right? Like that's where I know it from. Is that I know Landmark people that used to say that.
What is Landmark?
It sounds like a hit. It sounds like someone hitting on you. They're like, "Hey, baby, mind if I yuck up your yum?" I mean,
it's just basically like this, right? If just because you hate apple pie doesn't mean they have to stop serving it.
Right. Don't fuck up apple pie for everybody else.
Yeah, just because you don't like it, right? So let everybody have their fucking pie, man. Assholes.
And if they have the Boston clam chowder, don't come in here with the. Oh wait, which one's the one that's good?
Which one's the one that's good?
Boston?
I know.
New England.
Not that red clam chowder. Like no. Right. Like I remember being a kid and loving clam chowder, and then like I ordered at one place, they brought it by, and I said, "Do you hate me?" And the waiter just cried.
Oh my God! Don't talk about food. I'm so hungry right now.
Stacy is starving herself right now.
I am. How'd you know? I didn't get those last 10 off.
Oh my. So we also Siwan agreed to stay to tackle one of our topics.
Yeah, we made our contract.
Our next topic. I think you might like this one. This is a very interesting one. Could be controversial, maybe not. I don't know. Let's pull this up right here. Let's see here.
Oh, you made a thing. He made a thing.
Here we go, guys. Messed up things our grandparents said.
Yeah.
Can I go first?
I can't see your presentation. Did you put it up, or is it just my
it's
internet?
just a thing, bro. It's a thing.
You put up the thing in the bottom. Okay.
Not my bottom.
I'm gonna tell you, just because it's the craziest thing I ever heard, and I don't think it'll get even crazier than that. My grandfather told me that his father killed a man in the village because a male witch told him to do it, or they'd be cursed forever.
Holy Lord.
My grandfather's father committed murder so he would avoid being cursed.
Well, you top mine. The top's mine. I can't beat that.
By the brew howdy.
Yeah, I'll give you
Wow.
Mine suck now. Somebody got killed.
Apparently,
Did he kill him?
He did. He killed it.
Yeah, he's like, here's a finger bone. I carry it around to remind myself.
I don't know if I'm like blown away by the fact that, like the other guy, but I'm still like, there's a male witch was one of the things that I was like a male witch in a village. That one was like, it seemed like a Renaissance type thing, but it was literally probably like what 70, 60 years ago, maybe.
I think the proper term is man witch.
Oh yeah.
Oh my! Not a warlock. It's a man witch.
Yeah. My friend Sloppy Joe tells me these things.
Talk about food. But who thinks that committing murder is going to remove a curse? Like that one really.
Well, I mean, society has always and still is, because obviously we see what happened in DC, gullible, right? We have to understand that not everybody's on. Not everybody sees the the waves, man. Wow. The intelligence waves. Anyone else? Whoever wants to go.
That. I have something that my auntie said that is not from it's not grandparents, but it's an auntie, an older auntie. She used to say that I should have 3 men. One to right, which I don't want any men, but that's fine.
Wait, is this go fuck, marry, kill?
No, right? Oh, yeah, no, like she's not that cool. No, but one to marry, one who will have sex you want to have sex with, and then one that'll just be like a friend. So,
oh my God, she's so smart. I love it.
Right? And the married one, obviously, it's just like to live and like have a nice life. And then you have like right? Like they have sex with like a side dude on the side. I love that.
It's like a rotation. It's like today you'll be number 1, today you'll be number 2. I'm too tired for number 3.
And she was no like beauty queen or anything like that. But I think maybe she had been like kind of hurt, and like she was like, "This is what you need to do." And I was like, "All right."
I mean, it's not bad advice. It's not bad
No.
advice.
That's incredible advice.
Bad for the guy that gets friend zoned until he kills you later. Maybe that's like the retirement plan. Like,
oh Lord,
eventually he's not going to take it, and that's it. Like, I don't know what guy you're going to find that just friend zones for a while. Maybe witness protection program, something like that.
oh
I don't know.
my.
I think friend zones is more of like you're being naive. Like either the person has communicated to you that they do not see you romantically, and you're just still holding on to hope, which you shouldn't be doing because hello, they're telling you no. Or
until we're 25, we're always holding on to hope.
Or somebody's leading you on, and you're just too dumb to see it. Like
that's where I've told my friends, and not to get too sidetracked, but I've told my friends, especially one particularly. Get involved in activities, whether it's joining a chess club, math club, I don't care. Learn to golf, take up stand-up comedy classes, take up film classes, whatever you can do, right? Broaden your horizons. Talk to a lot of different people, and then it'll be easier when you find or meet somebody that you like. Right?
Make sure it's something you like.
Well, I'm just saying, because if you're not working on your communication skills, how are you going to talk to a lady if you're even trying to do something with yourself? I don't know, that's just my opinion.
You said if you're not trying to do something with yourself.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
I'm saying, but just that sounds like grandparent vernacular. Just let me just say this. That's if you're not trying to do something with yourself, that's how grandparents. Yeah, that's how they talk.
Well, Nick had one that I can beat. His one in the his first one there, the one, the ang.
Oh, that one.
So he says, I always hated how my grandparents or say that generation always referred to African American culture as colored people. It drove me nuts every time I heard them say that. We grew up in West Covina, damn it. So Nick knows that I've known a grandparent that lived in Brookfield, Chicago. It used to be called Hollywood. And we're like, okay, Grandma, when are we going to go to Chicago? She goes, well, you can only go certain types of day. Otherwise, the chocolate drops will be out. And I'm like, what did you just say? Yeah. Don't worry, she's dead now and she doesn't watch the show. But like, I'm just glad I wasn't born back then. As a little kid from California, I had never heard that. And she just said it. Now, mind you, this lady was so old. Okay. That when my brother said kung fu once, she washed his mouth out with soap. She's from that time because he said kung fu. Common words.
Wow.
You know what? Here's the thing. As a chocolate drop, let me just say this.
That's insane.
Wow. Like chocolate drops.
I was gonna say the idea of what she's saying is wrong, but I have to give her some props because in her day they were using other words and chocolate drop was not one of them. Obviously what she's inferring is problematic, but I'm not mad because I consider myself a chocolate drop just right now.
You're right. She was sweet for her time. Yes. She was one of those ladies that's like, well, at least she was. Yeah, I could see it that way. But the first time,
even if in her private moments, not around the children, she did use another word. I have to say that I respect the fact that she didn't use other words that would give that children are going to repeat and become part of how they think and the vernacular. At least she gave us the humanity of being a chocolate drop, even if she disagreed with her perception of what the chocolate drops were doing in Chicago at certain times of the day.
I want to be honest, I've never heard that before. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
And here's the thing, we commonly don't get called chocolate drops by racist people. Let me be clear about that part too.
I have to say, I got to say the one that my friend thought was funny for years, and just because he watched a lot of like 70s shows and everything, he wasn't raised, he just thought it was funny, was that some people would say, oh, you're going to blah blah blah, hey, it gets dark early over there. It's like, what did you just say? He's like I have a friend that he loves like the 70s movies, and they would say that, and that's the guy that's gonna get beat up later on in the movies he watches.
But you know what? I hate using the word African American because not all Black people are from Africa. I feel like it's a stereotype, like calling Asian people Chinese automatically. I hate.
Well, what do you call Idris Elba?
do you call what?
Idris Elba. He's British.
Oh, Idris. Oh,
You just said it, Dan. You call him British.
So you brought up something very powerful, Stacey. So a couple of things. I hear you. Obviously, I don't agree. African American doesn't, for at least for my money, doesn't equate to stereotype. But it was a normalized term because of the other terms, the colored, the Negro, the blacks, like all of these things. It was a normalized term because the fact is anybody of that is black is of African descent. Now, whether you were dropped off in some of the other places in the water, Puerto Rico, Brazil, whatever, if you want to become that, strict about it, so many are of African descent. I am of African descent. Now, I've never been to the continent, but I wouldn't sit here and say, well, I don't, whatever. And if you saw School Days, obviously we remember what Giancarlo Esposito, such a great monologue. Like, I'm not from Africa. I'm not from the jungles. Motown is my, but all we're trying to, when Jesse Jackson helped to normalize a term in the 80s, understand again what I thought were modern times, it was just the idea that we are not black people, we are not Negroes, we are not these things that other people have decided. The idea behind the term African American was that we have the right to decide how we should be labeled and how we should be called. It is, and every group of people, whether brought to the country by force or by choice, has a right to say, I am this thing and I get a say in what I am called. The problem with all those other terms was that was somebody else's decision about who they thought we were, attempting to reflect it back to us. And so, and then, like I said, and under it all, everyone, even Jamaicans, again, represent a group of people that were dropped off at one point from the continent. Like, I mean, and everybody can look that up. There's a Fader magazine did an incredible animation years ago that was online, and it actually had done enough research to do animations for ships of Africans coming off the continent. And if you click the ship, the flag for the country that colonized it came up, how many slaves were on that ship came up, how many people had died, and how many people had made it. And of the 12 million, America only got 3. Brazil got the lion's share of Africans coming out of the continent. So when you get down to it, so not to get, I love TED Talk territory. Hopefully someone will give me one day, but I share all that to say that term is a wonderful, fair and self-representative term compared to
the other ones
were up to that point.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that was my always thing, because I would have personally felt like, and again, the only reason I'm saying is I get called Mexican all the time, and it bugs the shit out of me because I'm like, I'm not Mexican,
right?
Salvadorian,
that's how
right?
I would say it. Well, yeah, I'm a mix, but the assumption is because of the color of my skin, I am automatically Mexican. That is so. But luckily, we have the term Hispanic or Latin. We have that.
Latinx.
Yeah,
people say Latinx too.
And because of the assumption of the color of my skin, they think I can afford that loan.
I mean, that's why to me, I would have felt like African American was a stereotype, especially like if you were to tell a black person from Cuba, it'd be like, I'm not from there. Like,
but the person from Cuba has the blessing of having a land to claim. Understand, yet again, for those who are descendants of those brought from the continent, we don't have a land to claim. And of course, being in this country, it was made very clear that we couldn't claim this one. We could work it, we could pick its cotton, we could pick its tobacco, but we couldn't claim it.
Yeah.
So even
we weren't here first.
I agree with you.
You could have been the second wave.
You have to. I think the thing, to your point though, Stacey, I'll say this. I think the thing that people then look at it and say it's a problem is because they think strictly in terms of geography. Because I respect the fact that you have geography, and so your issue is that calling you Mexican is inaccurate. That's first, just inaccurate, and then you of all your descendants, there is land to claim, there is language to claim. As a person of African descent, having been born in this country, not ever visiting Africa, the only language I have is English. Those 2 years of French and those 2 years of Latin in high school, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, that's all what it is. But my point on the serious tip though, is there's so much that goes with that. And I get that on its face, you're trying to assume, like so many who argue the same point, that, well, y'all didn't come from the continent. But it's so much, it's a what's that word? It is a intangible concept, not so much one that is a landlocked idea. You know what I'm saying? You have the blessing of knowing that if you leave this American soil, you can go somewhere where you're actually from, where your people are actually from. If I leave this American soil, I got to do a 23andMe test first to even have some idea of where
I come from, damn it.
where I come from. So
I absolutely kind of have to also, because I don't know where I'm from nor care, I guess. But that's my own apathy.
But Nick did say something interesting. He said, even saying African American or Mexican as a white boy bothers me. Why can't we just say brother from another mother?
And we say that too, Nick. We say that too.
And then he has another one, or sister from another mister.
I say that too, Nick. I say that.
Then that becomes like a Maury episode.
Maury episode. Oh man, my grandpa, he had a lot of, depending on whether you're talking about my Japanese grandpa or you're talking about my white grandpa, and both had very interesting, salty sailor things to say. Who is it?
Salty sailor. I love it.
The white grandpa would say, "Don't marry outside your race," right? And it's like, what?
Wait, if they didn't do that, I wouldn't be here, Grandpa.
Exactly, right? So right there was kind of like an insult, right? Technically. And so, he would say that, and I just think to myself, what?
Or maybe he was super picky. He's like, no, you have to find another half Asian, half white person.
I don't know, man.
Just like you, because I want to see what happens like in the next generation before I die.
Or maybe he was saying you can't marry no white people.
I know.
Such a great point, Stefan. I love the way you frame that, because that's, I was told by my dad, don't bring no. My dad said to this house, and it was essentially the same thing. Don't bring white boys. That's what my dad told me. Don't bring to take it a step further. I don't want to, we know more than we know because we were given bad African stereotypes, whatever what we emulate. At one point, people put down. My dad would say, "Don't bring no Africans. Don't bring no." You know what I'm saying? Like this, my dad. Right. Look at your face, Stacey. I agree. But this was, But people thought that Negro and colored were okay words. Like we all evolve. You know what I'm saying? My dad grew too. So
And there are, in every race, there are people who consider different classes within even the race itself. Example: I lived in an apartment in a not great neighborhood. My mom ran it, and two of the tenants, one was literally from Africa, the other guy was from Jamaica. They didn't like each other. They literally did not like each other, okay? And I don't mean like they didn't like each other, okay? Like I remember my mom having to listen to complaints about one or the other. They'd come down and complain about the other. Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
Well, I mean, just because we share the same tone of skin doesn't mean we have, we're all in unity and like each other. I mean,
right.
No, I know.
It's
everybody's got assholes.
Oh, they all races, yes.
And that's why we started a reality show, so they can live somewhere else for a while on camera, so we know where they are.
But I think it's all an amazing evolution. I think it's just people growing to understand and and accept whether we don't have to become loving friends, but just an acceptance,
Oh yeah. And then we'd have people with saggy pants walk by the window. This is my white grandpa. And they're all gangbangers. They're all gangbangers.
Said Marjorie Taylor Greene, right?
I'm like, what? I said, well, Grandpa, what if he can't afford a belt? No, he's a gangbanger. It's like, what?
What if he's not a gangbanger? What if he's really proud of how expensive those boxers are? Because
there you go, right?
Like I get pissed every time I go to buy underwear. I'm like, Jesus Christ! No one sees these.
No one sees. There's a reason, though. There's a reason.
Like, why are they expensive?
Because
you need them.
And then
Suwan, in your formative years, were you ever bullied or any of those things for your heritage and having a mixed heritage? And do you think any of it informs your comedy today?
For sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just, of course, I got in fights. I mean, oh God, there's so many different things. So many, like I got in fights for being called chink. that was a thing at one point.
Of course. I'm your age. Did you whoop them up? Did you whoop their ass?
Yeah, actually, I got them pretty good. I did. I clipped this chick in the jaw once. I ran after her because I was like, no. And just so much confusion, even like in my own house. So just in my own house, it was just like, so I don't know if you guys all know my dad's black, but he's very light skinned, so he passed for being white, and so that's a weird place. That's a weird thing to negotiate and understand. Like as a kid, when you're growing up, you don't know why your dad did that. That doesn't even make sense. Like, why aren't you proud of yourself? But so my joke is he only got pulled over Caucasianly.
Very good joke. Very good joke. But somebody had to explain why your hair wasn't straight. Somebody had to explain.
That's right. Exactly. Somehow I had to figure it out. And then my brother had darker skin than me, and his hair was a little bit more curlier. And and that's how all my family was. Like my dad was lighter, my aunt was a little bit darker, my uncle was a little bit darker. Everybody's all mixed. And so, it was like, it seemed very strange, like, what are we all talking about? Why is there so much discord? But, my dad grew up at like the time of the Depression, World War II.
Wow.
Yeah. This is like a whole different mindset. You can't even. When my parents got married, black and white people, it was not legal for them to get married.
Right.
So, I mean, my mom
didn't have the on-screen kiss yet on Star Trek, right?
What's that?
Oh, they not even have the on-screen kiss on Star Trek yet?
No, that's way later.
My dad was born in 34, Suwan, so I know my dad was born in 34.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah. So this is just like a different time, and people it's such a different, it was so much harder. Right. And my mom came out of the war in Korea. So also, that's just a whole different, when you come from where you really have to survive, then I have to give them a lot of,
space.
Yeah. Because, and then even like my name, when you were growing up, you have a weird name. You're like, what is this name? Like, even that's like, I got bullied for that, just for that, like, even into my 20s and 30s, like people being hostile, like, why can't we just call you Sue? Why don't you fuck off?
What? That's not my motherfucking name.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually never been bullied for my race. I was bullied for my personality.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
That's what, yeah.
Because
I was like this as a kid. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What were you saying, Stacey?
I was just going to ask Suwan, you have such diverse, like your dad's black, your mom's Korean. Did you feel that you had kind of like an identity crisis growing up?
Thanks.
Like, yeah, I can only imagine. Like your food must have been incredible growing up because seasoning, flavor. But I really am curious to find out, how was it in reference to that? Like finding out, you're like, was your mom really like trying to push a lot of culture? Was your dad trying to also put a lot of culture? Like, how was that growing up?
I think, to be honest, they wanted me to be white as possible. So that was what they wanted. I think my mom didn't push culture. She was culture, like that's, you can't help it. Right. Cause like, she's so embedded with her food and language. I don't speak Korean. So, I don't have any of it. Like I can count to 10 and I can I could do like a hello. And
I know hello. That's all I know.
That's it. That is it. But I don't have anything else. So, and it's kind of tough because then also like having family that like my auntie like thought that my mom didn't like her. That was probably true, and that's also, and that's confusing too, because like I was closer to my dad's side of the family because I don't have the language on my mom's side. But then when people look at me, most of the time they're just like, oh, you're Asian. And I'm just like, okay. Right.
Well, that's the reason I asked is I'm just straight out Hispanic. But when it comes to the fact, in reference to culture, when I hang out with my family, who I feel like I'm not Hispanic enough. And then when I hang out with my friends, I have a group of friends, and sometimes I feel like I'm too Hispanic when I hang out with certain group of friends. So, but I can only imagine in reference to that, like when you're with your mom's side of the family, you feel like you're not enough, you're not Asian enough, or when you hang out with your dad's side of the family, you feel like, you know, you're not. So to me, it's and I really hope I don't offend you. I'm just really like, how does that work? Like, how do you have like a whole identity thing? But I'm so glad you answered that.
Yeah, it was confusing for sure. And I think that when I was coming up in LA, there were also a lot less. There's a lot of Korean people around now. You know, there's a ton, right? Obviously, you know,
we got an H Mart right across the street from me.
The community is like huge. But even when I was growing up, it was not that big. I mean, in the 70s, right? And like I was, you know, here. so yeah, it was just different. Like to be different felt kind of painful. And then especially when you're just growing up around, you know, mostly white kids, right? And it just, I was like, oh, okay. Like you just have to try to figure it out. But then you know that you stick out like a sore thumb, and it's fine until someone really makes a big fuss about it. Right. And then, or it was also confusing. There was a Black family that moved in down the street when I was really young in elementary school. And both of my parents didn't let us play with them. And there was a girl that was my age. And I was like, you guys are racist. So I'm like calling my parents racist, both of them. Because, you know, like, okay, you guys are racist. What's wrong with you? But my dad was afraid I would be associated. Like, so this is like such shame and internal, like fear. You know,
sounds like some Bridgerton stuff, except.
Oh man,
it was all Bridgerton. No, it's real. It was fear. You know,
wow. That they wouldn't let you, that they wouldn't. I mean, I know it was the time, but like both your parents, that's
tough.
Okay, so this is, I know we've like, you know, we've kept you all night long. Like, how did you guys know that your dad was passing? Like, at what point were you helped to understand that he's a Black man passing for white? Like, did you guys believe he was white for a long time? Like, what happened?
Oh, that's we thought he was white. We thought he was white. No, this is no joke. We found out that he was Black, that we were Black, when I was like, I don't know, like early teens, like 13 or something like that. Yeah, and that was also so wild because I got so my brother went to go play baseball, and you got to get your birth certificate from downtown, and that's the one that lists your parents' race. So, you know, my dad, it said Negro on my it says it on my birth certificate for my dad. And we're like, wow, Negro, huh? Like this is like the first, like we brought this to my dad, like this is something that we need to talk about. But then everything became clear because like, I just didn't even see my parent. Like I didn't see my dad's race. I didn't see my auntie's race until once I knew, then I was like, oh, of course she's a Black woman. There was no doubt, you know, but I didn't see it because I didn't know.
And that's something my grandpa brought to my attention a long time ago too. There was a point. I know a lot of us complain now about job applications. Oh, it doesn't list my race. I mean, but imagine living in those times. You had two options. You were either Black or you were white. That was it. And the white people didn't see anything else. It didn't matter. Like I'm Chinese. I don't care.
That's the notorious thing, right? That's what they ended up talking about. My dad ended up talking about it a lot. Like, you know, if you were one drop, which you would just be considered Black. Yeah. Well, I mean, my dad was half. Both of his parents were mixed.
Wow.
But they were both mixed, you know, Black.
And but even the Native Americans, same.
Oh my gosh, you need a show. Like
you need a docuseries. Like, I wish they had been with you. You know, like you got to go back and talk about that. I mean, we're here for it, though, Suwan.
Oh, thank you. Right, I know. to me, it's fascinating because it's like an interesting kind of thing in history that happened, right? Like that my dad joined World War II after Roosevelt desegregated it, but it was still segregated, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not the only one. I'm definitely curious as to the stories of others of finding out that because we've seen every now and then we see something on Oprah, but I think your story is amazing because I've heard you talk about it obviously on stage before, but just that part I didn't know. Like y'all were 13, so you were at an age where to be respectful, he had to answer your question,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're 6, they can kind of play you off, but.
Well, yes, and that's why I was always so curious. I'd grow up, be like, well, okay, well, people are asking me, what are we? And then, so obviously the mom side, Korean, we got that taken care of. But the dad side would kind of always change every couple of years. Like it would be like, oh, we're French and Native American. Like that would come along a few years later. Like, okay, well, let me ask again. What else are we going to get out of this? He added Irish at one point. And but then when we got the birth certificate, I was like, oh, look at this, it all plays out.
But,
Yeah.
I did have one grandparent, Stefan, that told me on those tests where they ask you what your race is, those standardized tests. He told me that I should put Asian because they give you extra points.
Oh,
is that right?
Lord.
I think they take points away. I think
I agree. They might take points away. What were we gonna say, Stacy? Sorry.
No, I was just gonna mention. I mean, the things her father did to, it's survival.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was how my Japanese grandpa. It's the same thing. When we grew up, he was in an internment camp. He I forget. I don't remember which war he was in. And and so he went into the Air Force. He was in the internment camp, and so when we grew up hanging around him, certain things I didn't quite get because the way he would talk, because he liked to, and not to throw this out there to be racist to any culture, but he would say Jap a lot, right? So we're hanging out, and then I hear Jap this, Jap that, and I'm just like, I look at my mom, I'm like, he's Japanese, right? Like, because I was a kid, I didn't know what the hell. I'm like, why is he? What? I was confused. And then as I got older, I was like, wow, does he like hate Japanese people now? Like he and I would still even ask myself at a point, he knows he's Japanese, right?
Or was he particularly using that word in reference to enemy Japanese soldiers?
No. I think he just meant Japanese people in general. Like I honestly, at a certain point in my life, and I could be wrong about this, but at a certain point in my life, I swear he might have been like a white man from the 50s, like without even realizing he was Japanese. That's what it seemed like to me, with maybe through all the stuff that happened to him, possibly.
It's that internalized racism.
It is. I was going to say that everyone was trying to emulate what was, the most accepted culture. And, even like, again, my dad, when we moved to New Orleans, if you've ever visited New Orleans, there's the dialect, or the accent rather, not dialect, is very, very clear. And people always say to me, oh, you don't have a Southern accent. Well, my dad in 1981 said, don't start talking like them here. And in an effort, like, it wasn't my intention. And my dad, I love my dad. Like we had this come to Jesus the other day, and my dad says, and I understand that he was trying to survive, and he was trying to develop in us whatever we would need to make it in the world as he understood it at that time. Yeah. But in an effort to then not pick up the New Orleans, accent, I ended up losing, everything. And it's not, so I'm just saying, so these ideas of what to emulate so that you can, obviously there would be no way to pass skin wise, but we are all, our parents, our grandparents come from a time where if you were not white, you were trying to be acceptable and accepted. Right. And that's then what you pass down to your children until they're 13 and find your birth certificate and find that it's all been, sketchy.
Lied to.
It's all been a lie.
Well, I did grow up during the Reagan years. Like that's when I was a kid. And so I have to admit, I'm a little racist against white people that wear ties. I mean, specifically, if you wear a tie, I'm like, should I let them in? Or are they going to try to sell me something I don't need and take?
Talking about corporate scum, Dan?
or Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, what are we-
Or Mormons.
Well, I'm
Or
not
Mormon.
talking
There
about
it
the
is.
Blues
That's probably who I
Brothers.
really mean.
I'm not talking about the Blues Brothers. I think they were
Oh,
kind of
geez.
okay. You know, I mean, they were appropriating another music, but at least they were trying hard. But
Yeah.
no, I'm talking specifically about those. Like, you ever been in a restaurant and see two guys with ties talking, and you're wondering who's trying to fuck the other one more? I don't know. Is this just me? See, I told you I got a problem.
never wondered that. Yeah, I think that's just you.
No, that brings up me going to a sushi restaurant with my grandpa, and the nice Japanese lady tells him that we have a 40-minute wait, and he wasn't having that. So he made sure to let everyone there know that they're goddamn Japs. Oh yeah, and we're sitting there and we're like, we gonna leave? Because somebody gonna kill us.
He's all ranting. You come bring
no.
your restaurants without enough seats.
Oh no, he got real racist, and we were just kind of like, even my grandma, she's used to it, but she was even like, here now, like, really, bro? It's like, oh yeah. So that, even when I had to bring girlfriends over, I'd be like, okay, I gotta let you know something really quick, okay? Grandpa really likes saying Jap a lot, and you're gonna hear it, and you might get confused. Yes, he is Japanese. I don't know if he knows he is, but he is Japanese. Okay. Oh yeah, no, it was left and right with that. I'd just be, when we were kids, what?
Jeff, what I think you have there is a great idea for one of the best Snickers hungry commercials. Like your grandfather just starts going off, you give him Snickers, and suddenly he's nice.
Oh,
what are you talking about? That's an entire Chappelle skit right there.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking.
So the Snickers stops the
Grandpa,
racism.
Grandpa, you're racist when you're hungry. Eat something.
I was in that. That's a sketch. That the sketch, the Snickers stops the racism. That's it right there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's like hungry one way. It's like nah. Here, Grandpa, you're getting racist again. Have Snickers, okay, Grandpa?
You're hungry.
Yeah,
I can't be mad at anyone with this in my mouth.
He doesn't turn into Joe Pesci. He just stops being racist. Stacey,
did you ever see the ads? You know what commercial we're referencing, right? The ones with like
the
diva. That I mean, yeah.
He's like, I'm not that young.
Steve Buscemi one? No, is it Steve? What's his last? How do you pronounce his last name?
Steve Buscemi. There's Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Steve
Betty White. Betty White has one. So.
Yeah,
there are a few of them.
Those are good. Those are cute commercials. Commercials. But if a Snickers stopped the racist man,
put off everything, eat the Snickers.
I'd just be flying everywhere, dropping Snickers.
Sorry,
Snicker
right?
I mean, that's a good SNL sketch right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pitch it to them. The only problem is they'll play it for 20 minutes long after everyone's already gotten the joke. So I know I'm not going to be hired now. I mean, burned SNL. Damn it.
Nah, they wouldn't be able to handle you, bro.
Maybe
they'd be like, Dan, I don't know.
PR team for you.
Be what for me?
They're gonna need a PR team for you. You're the
lawsuit
potential nightmare.
for Dan Ochoa's skit.
What's a PR team?
A press team to kind of save the show. Yeah.
PR
relations. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I used to call my mom and my aunt when I flip off the principal. Like, my PR team's coming to talk to you now. I'm gonna go hang out and play in recess. By the way, as I leave, I'm in trouble anyway.
Oh, gee.
Going back to home ec.
Well, it is about that time. We, not to cut anybody off abruptly, but we want to thank Suan for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
And we want to thank everyone else in the audience. Where are we here? We got Ed Namrock, Nif Craft Crew. Can't even get it out.
I never you say it. And Ed Namrock said, "Wow, associated." I don't know if we mentioned that comment or if you saw it, Suan.
I did.
Oh yeah, Sergio. Everybody who came to hang out. Brittany shows. Lauren. Everybody that came out to hang out with us, we want to thank everybody, and again, Suan. And when is that Hot Medusa show again? What day is that?
February 18th.
They go to Flappers. Flappers to buy tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's 4 days after Valentine's Day, so they will have had time for material on how that went.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's just going to be fun. Whatever. Yeah. Thanks for saying the lineup too, because that was cool. Yeah.
Yes. So you guys, please go out and support. We need to support our local comedy. Keep it going. And again, thank you everybody so much, and we will see you next week. You gonna say bye, Dan?
Dog.
Oh,
Dog. Oh,
Thank you.